Hi, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing a fun little Q&A, a couples Q&A. I had you guys ask me questions on an Instagram poll, so we're gonna go through and answer some of those. For a brief background, in case you don't know me, I'm Ariel. This is my husband, Travis. We are married, we're in our early 30s. We've been married for 2.5 years. We've been together for about, well, a little over 9 years now, and we're expecting our first baby very soon. Anything to add on our background?
Spot on.
Okay, so we're gonna go through the questions. One of the most common questions asked was, how did we meet? I'm gonna do a very brief synopsis answer to that, but the basic story is we met out at a bar in Chicago one night. It was a Halloween night. We exchanged numbers, and then we texted for a little bit and didn't end up going on our first date until about a year later, actually. So, but that's the basic gist of the story of how we met.
Yeah, pretty accurate.
We also got a lot of questions surrounding our pregnancy. Like I mentioned before, this is our first pregnancy, so a really common one was, did we plan this pregnancy? The short answer to that is yes. Do you want to describe a little bit more about it?
I mean, yeah, I guess you can say it was planned. I've always talked about starting a family. It was just a matter of timing and honestly just leaving it all up to fate. So I've always wanted at least one kid. You've always wanted several. So yeah, I guess we got to start somewhere.
Yeah, and I think for us, a big thing, because obviously we both work full time, so there was never going to be a perfect time, I would say, for us to be able to have kids. I know you always say like, oh, when the time is right, but we kind of felt like you never really know when that time is going to be, but we definitely knew we wanted to start a family. So it was more of just saying, hey, this is when we're going to start trying and then see what happens with it. And now we have our first baby on the way. So, and we'll see about more. We need to get through the first one first and then go from there. So we also got a few questions about what's our favorite thing about each other, or what do we admire most about each other. So I'll go first with this one.
No, I'll go first.
Okay, you go.
I would just say your drive and focus and your overall grind. Like, you've always known what you've wanted to do, and you've stayed focused on the goal. Always made the main thing, and never really deviated too much. And that's pretty attractive and admirable, and something that I think a lot of people would appreciate about their person.
That's nice.
Nice guy.
My favorite thing about Travis, and I think I talk about this all the time just because it's not like a constant thing I feel like I rely on almost, is how patient you are. And it's funny because you don't think you're a patient person, but I always talk about he really is though, and maybe he is just with me, but even with our dogs, and like I know he'll be the same with our son. So I really admire that about him, because he is truly in everything that you do. I feel like, in my opinion, you're very patient, you're super understanding, and you're just always willing to take a step back from whatever the situation is and always figure out a solution. Like, you're always the problem solve, fix it guy. And I really appreciate that about you. I think that's what I admire most, is how calm and patient you are with me.
Thanks.
You're welcome. This is a good question. I feel like a good one for just giving our perspective on marriage in general. But the question is, what has been the biggest struggle of married life? And my answer for that is, I feel like this is just the biggest struggle of having a partner in general, maybe is how I word this question, because this can happen, even before you're married. But figuring out how you mesh completely with the other person. Because for Travis and I, we have very different personalities and we do things very differently. So learning how to, I think, live with one another was a big thing for us, because there were just certain things I'm used to doing a certain way, and there's certain things he's used to doing a certain way. So figuring out how we could, what's that called?
Cohabitate.
Yeah, like just figuring out how we could literally just live in the same space was the biggest thing. In my opinion, that was the biggest. And it wasn't anything, I don't think that has to be in a negative way at all. It's just being more understanding of your partner. Like, hey, these are little things I'm used to doing. What are you used to doing? What are things you like? And being able to compromise is the word I'm looking for. What about you? What do you think was the biggest struggle for married life, or becoming partners, becoming one?
I wouldn't say anything, to be honest. I mean, understanding that things aren't just done after the conversation is over. Like, I agreed and committed to being in a relationship with you for the long term. And if we have a tiff or if we have a good day, it's not like we just go to bed and move on to something different tomorrow. And emotionally and mentally being considerate of the other person, being considerate that your actions and intentions affect another person.
Oh, okay, I see.
That's more or less what I was trying to say. And
Yeah.
again, it's not a struggle, it's just I would probably word that as like the biggest adjustment for me
Something to think
is
about.
considering, is understanding that it's not just me.
This one's quick. Who said I love you first? I definitely said I love you first. Travis was thinking it and feeling it. He was just a little too nervous to actually say it. So I said it.
I know, I
And
don't get nervous.
He said it back. Didn't you say it back right away? I think you said.
I did.
Yeah, so I was first. I can admit that, but it was the moment. You could feel it was the time for it. So, but I did say it first. This one's more a question for me, but I did get this in a couple different formats, so I'm gonna answer it quickly. The general question was, how do I manage time for my relationship and my job and then still make content consistently? Content creation, I started doing that as really just a fun side hobby, like just like everybody else. During COVID, I downloaded TikTok and was mostly watching dance videos, making silly videos at home when we were all stuck in the house. It was never anything crazy. And then I started thinking, I think it would be cool to show dental videos and orthodontic videos and braces tips, different things like that, to be able to basically I feel like I was just trying to be educational with it. In the beginning was my biggest goal, was to give different tips and things. So it really started off as really a fun side hobby. I still have a lot of fun with it. I still say that to this day. Like, I make TikToks because I have fun making TikToks. And the biggest thing with our relationship, since we had such a strong foundation, nothing changed with that, with me making TikToks. It's maybe as I do my makeup now, I'm filming it, or I'm stepping aside for a little bit to make a dental video, or whatever the case is. So I don't think it really affected our relationship much. Maybe you could speak on that too. Do you feel like me making, the biggest thing maybe has been Travis having to be on camera more than he's used to being, but other than that, I wouldn't say it's had a big effect. You can answer, has it had an impact on our relationship at all?
An impact, no, but logistically, I mean, you have to dedicate time to it, right? So
True.
whether that's in the car or on the way somewhere, you're editing a video,
That's true.
or as we're sitting on the couch, you're working on some content. I mean, it's a part of your life now, so that's what you enjoy doing. I support that. Physically, that's the only difference. Like, again, like logistically, in your everyday, that's the only difference, is you have to make time for it. But
Yeah, that is a good point. Finding time, editing really is the biggest thing that maybe does take away from time we would normally spend together. Because I'll edit a lot of times in the car when we're traveling somewhere, because we're on the go. So it's like Travis will have the radio on or whatever, he's playing music, and then I'm like, I have my volume low on my phone or I have my headphones, whichever, and I'm editing whatever video I made, so then I can be done with it before we head on to our next thing. Time management is a big thing with it, and making sure I'm doing things when we're not out to dinner, for example. I'm not out editing a video when we're making time for that. So just making sure I prioritize that. And then career-wise, I'm a full-time orthodontist. So like I said, a lot of my videos in the beginning were dental, braces tips, things like that. So it was almost incorporated in my work. So it was something I was doing outside of work. Obviously, I'm not doing that on a 8 to 5 day when I'm seeing patients, but because it started off as educational content, it's things, if I quickly film the video, when I get home from work, it didn't really affect that either. Long answer to this question is finding balance to be able to film those videos and edit those videos made it so it didn't impact my career or my relationship in a negative way. There were also several different questions about how we spend our time together. So this is a good one for that. It says, how do you guys prevent your relationship from getting boring or repetitive?
I mean, I think we make it a intentional point to at least have date night once a week, which is usually on the weekend, whether that's a quick meal or an actual activity, but we make it a priority to get out the house together and have that time dedicated to just each other. And I think that leads into, an element of surprise. This weekend, I pick the plan. Next weekend, you pick the plan. And again, nothing too crazy, or it doesn't have to be crazy, but just to keep things fresh and different. Like, we're both homebodies by nature, but even at home, I mean, we're talking about or doing something different fairly often. But again, I think it just comes down to what you make a priority and sticking to it.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same about date nights. Is Our biggest thing, yes, we've been trying to do them at least once a week, especially since we have a baby on the way. But that's what I think the key is too, is it's not always just Travis being the one that's planning it. Like we'll rotate, so then it's kind of a surprise for the other person, whether that's gonna be a movie night, seeing a new movie that the person wanted to see, or trying a new restaurant, or trying a new place in the city. I think that's what kind of helps keep things a little bit different. And it can be something in the house, whether it's, okay, we're gonna pick a movie to watch at home. It doesn't have to be things out either, but it's just someone kind of taking charge to plan something that's different for the both of us to kind of mix it up a little bit. And I've loved that personally, especially our weekly commitment to that. So I think that helps a lot. Another thing that was asked several times was what Travis does for work. I think a lot of people assume that he's in the dental field because I'm in the dental field, and he's also mysterious. He doesn't, you never really know. So
I mean, that's also called private.
do you want to explain what you do for work?
Yeah, it's nothing.
Put it to bed.
Yeah, it's nothing crazy. I work in finance. I help people manage their finances with a firm here in town and nationally. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty boring compared to what you do for work, but
He manages our finances. He's really good at it. So he's a very, very good wealth management professional. You know us from either YouTube or my other platforms. You know that our personalities are very, very different. Travis is a lot more calm than I am, where I'm a little bit, more energetic, we'll say. And so a lot of people were asking how our personality differences play out, especially in the dating phase. And that's a really good question. So I'll touch on our first date just really quickly because that was asked about a few times. I always give Travis a hard time about this. Our first official date, we'd been texting, going back and forth, and we decided we were going to, I think the wording was the wording grab dinner? Because this is where the confusion was.
yeah.
The wording was grab dinner. So to me, I thought that meant we were going out. Travis thought that meant we were staying in, right?
No, I wouldn't have worded it as grab dinner if I thought that.
What was the wording?
Probably, hey, do you want to hang out and get some food?
Yeah, whatever there was.
Or get some food and hang out.
There was
pretty casual.
yeah, so there was some kind of miscommunication, and Travis showed up to pick me up at my apartment in sweatpants, and I was in jeans, and I still rarely wear jeans. So we were definitely on different levels. But what I loved about it though is Travis immediately, he was like, "Oh, you look really nice. Are we going out?" And he immediately adapted, and we made a plan. So our first date was actually to a Mexican restaurant, and it went really well. Like I said, Travis is very much a fix-it guy, so he was on top of making it work, even though we were clearly on different pages. But he's very good about that. And then as far as in general about how his personality played out in the dating phase, even though he is a little bit calmer.
What was the question?
It was how did your personality play out in the dating phase? So I was just touching on the first date thing. It was like a
What does that
2-in-1.
mean, though?
Because you're a little
I'm
bit
supposed to change?
no, because you're calmer. They're wondering was I able to get to know you well? That's what I'm saying. Travis is very quiet, probably seeming to you guys, but in real life, Travis is not that quiet, especially with me. When he gets going, you just have to see it. I'll have to, I would love for him to do a day in the life sometime for you guys, because it'd probably be hilarious, honestly. But anyone who knows Travis, or Trav, as all of his friends call him, like I said, he is outgoing in his own way. So his personality played out very, very well. He's just not a big camera guy. Is that fair? Played out very well.
In the dating phase.
In the dating phase, yeah. But anyways, those are the majority of the questions. Like I said, there were a bunch, so we tried to pick the most commonly asked ones. Hopefully this helped get to know us a little bit better, and for anyone who's in a relationship and looking for, how ours works, hopefully this is helpful for that. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Thanks for being here, and thanks for watching. You want to say your goodbyes?
See ya.
Bye.